Today I'm going to be making a Chainsword from Warhammer 40,000, and for this I'm going to be using foamcore and bits of doweling as I usually do. Now I'm not going to be making it to a true scale Space Marine size because I wouldn't actually be able to fit that, because it'd be about 8-9 foot and wouldn't actually be able to fit inside the house. I may make one someday, but not yet. So this one's literally going to be made to my height, so just standing, which is 6 foot. It's still going to be huge. There are going to be drawings of this. Annoyingly, when I actually looked at this, I actually got the miniatures and checked the scaling on them, and the sword's pretty much the height of the Space Marine, which is brilliant. So this is going to be absolutely ridiculously oversized, but easily made. As per usual, giant swords, I've had to stick 2 boards together to make the full length thing. Then I cut out a basic template. Now this one has no spikes on it because there's 2 of them. It's the guide to either side of the actual chain and of the actual saw, and this one is going to be the saw. Now, in order to do it, I've taken the guide and drawn around it as a template, and then I cut this out, which is just a single spike, and then I've just drawn around it, going around the side of the blade to give all the spikes the same dimension. And then I'm going to continue doing that and cut it out, which is going to take all day. Okay, and then after that I'm going to cut out slots inside for the doweling and wood to go into, just to reinforce it. Now, because this sword takes up almost exactly 2 of these boards, I couldn't shift the cuts away from each other to stagger them. So I'm going to have to do more reinforcements up the centre than I normally would, just to compensate for the fact that I can't, stagger them anymore. Now, of course, on this one, the top side here is a bit too small to have all the spikes on properly, but there's going to be a cover over that in the end, so you're not going to be able to see it. It's just going to look like there are spikes going down it, because there are, but unless you actually open it, you won't be able to tell that there's anything wrong. Again, if you're going to make mistakes, put it somewhere where you can hide it. Okay, now I've cut out all the teeth on my sword. At the moment, it doesn't look that much like a giant sword, because it won't. But I've also cut these pieces, which are going to be strengthening on the spine. And then I've drawn around each of them on the card so I can cut them out. Then when it comes to sticking them together, I have the holes ready for them to go up the centres. Now at the moment, this sword doesn't look very thick. Again, it's going to have a huge casing over it, and I'm probably going to have to remove several of these teeth to actually have like bars going out to hold the casing on, but that's going to be a problem later. Right, I've glued the base, which is underneath, and the chainsaw section together, and stuck in the reinforcement blocks as well. Again, I wouldn't actually swing this thing round because it's not going to survive it, but hopefully once I've got the extra layers on, it'll be able to survive a show. Yeah, no. Unfortunately, when you've got to make props so they're safe for being used around people, you have to put up with the fact that some of them are going to be weak, especially when they get huge. But either way, basically it went in, it's all hot glued together. This is going to be a problem later, but I'm going to stick it. So now I've just got to put the top on, and then I've just got to make the handle section, or guard for the handle, and the casing to go around the outside, and stick it all together, and then it's just detailing. I've made the outer guard for going around my blade. You see it's got some angle to it. At the moment, I'm making the centerpiece, which is here. Now it's just taped on at the moment, just to get the shape. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add reinforcement coming out of that to hold the whole thing together. But then I'm going to stick the sides on afterwards, once the outer or once this section is stuck to the main blade, because I need to be able to get inside to do all of the reinforcing. After that I can then put the front on, but I just need to get this the right shape so I can just stick it on at the end so that the cowling will go on around the blade. So that's what this section looks like. Now to do the sections where the doweling goes into, I'm going to make a little block of foam coming out, or a little block of foam core coming out, and stick the doweling into it, and then put another block on top of the blade, which will also be supporting it. Okay. At this point, the outside of the top is on, and it's starting to look a bit ridiculous, but it's supposed to. Now I've just got to stick the sides of the front on, and I'm starting to become concerned. It's not something I'd swing, but it's not something I'd swing round, but yeah, it's quite heavy. It's getting heavy at this point. But I basically got to stick the sides on, then just make sure it doesn't wobble too much, and the main body of the sword's done. Just got to do the handle after that. Since last time, I've stuck the main casing on, just up here, and I've built up a bit on the handle. I've built up around the guard around the handle. Now, you may see this is ridiculously oversized for my hand. That's because when wearing this, I don't intend to have a regular sized hand. I'm going to be wearing one of these gloves. These are cricket gloves, which I use for power armor hands. And it's far more decently sized once you wear that in it. Of course, that's the blade. And right, I've done a line of board around here, and done 2 spikes on the handle, which or on the guard, which are just made out of foam core, same as everything else. It's cut in into little 3-sided pyramids, and then on the main casing, I have this, which is, if you can see it, I've put a bit of white cardboard on, which is going to be the banner when it's painted, and I've just got to decide something to write on it. And of course I've got a little bit of tidying up to do around the top of here, where it didn't go on perfectly, stuff like that, but once that's done, it's ready to go painting. And this may actually, yep, this is bigger than the camera, so one end. And in the end, this was supposed to be about 6 foot, how big as it ended up. Shorter than I expected. Either way, after looking at the ones on a regular Space Marine in scale, because I only had a miniature to work off, I had to do a lot of estimating, and this one has essentially ended up massive. I got my Chainsword back from the main painting. Now that's just a layer of undercoat and then a layer of chrome on top. I would say when using spray paints on foam core, side on, it will eat it away, so use it sparingly if possible, and just try to get decent covering and yeah, keep an eye on it. Now for detailing and the like, I've started off, because this whole thing is going to end up pink and purple, because I'm clearly a heretic. It's all going to end up pink and purple. So to do the large areas, I'm going to be using a large brush and just sweeping loads on. Now this case is going to have writing on it, and this bit ends up yellow anyway, and I've already started, as you can see. Now this is just acrylic paint, I'm just giving it a quick once over with a large brush. I'm going to do the same for the rest of it. The teeth are remaining silver, and so are those spikes. But apart from that, oh, and be careful, because it is foam core, it will break if you mess up removing it. I've already broken one tooth for some of it. So it's pretty much just put it on. If, again, with the chrome I've got underneath, if you put the paint on thin enough, it'll actually shine through and it looks really cool. But if you don't want to do that, just give it a few coats, wait for it to dry, give it another coat, and eventually it'll stop shining through. Now, I've got my sword painted, and basically all purple and pink lining, and then just some yellow on there, and that's all the block colours. But for this, basically I had to decide which font to use, which I've used Old English, and then decide something to write along it. Any Star Trek fans should know that's very close to, at least, the Latin version of the motto of Jem'Hadar, because I decided that's what I was going to write on my sword. Plus, it actually looks quite cool. So then you get an example of the font. You can either print it out and then transfer it on, and well, you can either print it out, then draw around the letters, and then paint it. But what I did was to get a picture of the text and then write it all on by hand in pencil, or do an outline of it in pencil, and then hand paint all of the text in black, and then just do an outline on the banner, just to make it look like there is actually one, and do some shading on it. And now I'm going to do the other side in the same way, and then the last part is to paint this handle black, just make it look like it's undercoated. I'm not going to wrap the handle at this point, because I may as well say it, this is going to end up just being a wall hanger, because if I take it to a convention, I mean, you can hold it, but I don't have much confidence in that's ability to survive. Likelihood is I'm going to take it to a convention, but I know it's going to break, so I wouldn't advise you lot to make one like this for a convention, because I know that. You know, I'm being nice. Okay? So, again, I've got an example of the text. I'm going to draw it all on by hand, then I'm going to paint it, and I just use black acrylic, same as I did, well, I used coloured acrylic for all this, but I'm just going to use black acrylic to do the text, and then I'm just going to put the same black acrylic over the handle, and then my sword should be done.